Hi, my name is River. I'm an artist living off-grid in the Pacific Northwest. The yurt and cabin that I live in both don't have bathrooms, showers, or even running water. Since I left the city and moved out here in June of 2025, I've had to dive into the deep end and get creative on figuring out how to stay clean when I pretty much live like I'm camping year-round. I'm going to share 3 techniques I use for bathing outside since moving off-grid. When I first moved off-grid, it was at the very end of spring, and I was stoked to explore the local waterways and happy to swim almost every day. I kept this up all summer and early fall, doing more swimming over the course of those magical months than I probably had in the last 10 summers combined. I kept a bag in my car with toiletries, a towel, and a clean change of comfy clothes so I could wash up in the water whenever I needed to. And don't worry, I always use a small amount of all-natural, organic, herbal soap so I'm not introducing disruptive chemicals to the bodies of water I bathe in. It wasn't until October that year that the local bodies of water became too cold for daily swims to be my primary source of bathing, and I started prioritizing another technique I developed a couple months before. I call this a bucket bath, even though I don't use a bucket and it's more like a shower than a bath. I found this huge canning pot for free on the side of the road in Portland. I fill it up with water either from the closest pump to the yurt that connects up to the well on the property or the rainwater catchment barrel I have at the cabin. Heat it either on a cast iron tripod over an open fire on top of my wood stove or with a propane stove. Stand either on a metal grate I thrifted or a large stump and use a pitcher or a large mug to scoop up the hot water and pour it over myself. This method doesn't need a lot of water or energy to work. It's extremely versatile and very satisfying and enjoyable to experience. I've even used smaller pots with less water and it works just fine. This is how I bathe myself the majority of the time in the winter. It wasn't until December that I finally achieved my dream of setting up an outdoor bathtub. I bought a propane water heater and a rubber stock tank and hooked those up to the closest well water pump near my yurt. I had a magical 2 weeks of enjoying hot baths in the freezing weather, but found that while the propane heater was supposed to be all weatherproof, when it was raining buckets, as it often does in the Pacific Northwest, the pilot light would get drowned and it would stop working. So basically, this method worked amazing for hot baths, but I can only use it when it's not raining until I build a cover for the water heater, which I do plan to do eventually, but I've been busy with other things. I do keep the stock tank filled with water regardless, so I can take cold plunge baths when needed. You don't really need to be submerged in water for that long in order to rinse soap off and have that clean skin, fresh feeling. Similarly, I've been going for more winter cold plunges in the 3 Season Creek on the property where I live. The creek is too shallow to fully swim, but there's a spot I can submerge myself in, and it feels amazing to dunk in the ice cold water and then run back up to my warm yurt, which can easily reach 80 degrees if I leave the door closed with the fire going in the wood stove. To close out this video, I'm going to take you on a little cold plunge adventure I went on yesterday at a waterfall I haven't visited since October, which effectively was the end of summer. Come with me and let's go winter swim in a waterfall pool. That's my good boy. You're gonna shake on my back, aren't you? I really wanted to jump in like under the waterfall. That's normally where I swim, but the amount of water that's moving, oh, piece of my camera just fell. The amount of water that's moving is way more than in the summer, which makes sense. I just didn't quite expect that. There's a little pool in the corner where the water is like eddying. It doesn't look like there's a current there where it looks like I could jump in, but there's nowhere for me to set my camera. Like I just climbed over there and I was having to like use my hands a lot to climb on these slippery, mossy, wet rocks. I'm just worried that if I set my camera on the tripod that one of the legs would slip and I would fall off, which, well, not I, but the camera would fall in, which would be really, really bad. I'm gonna head back over there, which is where we were at before. I went to look at the spot again and saw a log I could put my little camera tripod on and decided to try to swim in the spot. These logs are super slippery too. That's f***ing cold. Oh! Okay, River. That counted as swimming. Woo. Can I get back in? Woo, that was cold. I feel like I gotta get back in at least one more time. Set this up so that if it falls backward and not into the water. Wow, this is cold. This is real cold. That's enough. Whew. There's steam coming off my body. Woo! Okay, let's go back to my warm car in Romeo. Look at all this foam. Just like foam buildup. It's like moving. It's alive. It's kind of gross. Yeah, that was fun. I feel amazing now. I'm all warmed up. I would have stayed in there longer, but being by myself and having to navigate my way back out over extremely slippery log jam and rocks, didn't want my feet to get too cold. I usually don't have a buddy to do these kinds of adventures with me. I got one buddy who will do it. Lex, shout out Lex. We'll be back at it in the summer. Obviously I have to wear less clothes to do anything that involves me getting in the water, but I'm not here to titillate. I'm just here to educate and also entertain because, you know, maybe you'll never live off grid, but you're just curious about how all this works. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I have more renovations to the cabin I've been working on, but paint can't be rushed. Paint takes a long time to dry. I don't want to make videos where I'm just like making a tiny bit of progress and then it's over. I want there to be like a chunk done. So we'll get back to that next week. Okay, bye.